Protests on the streets of Venezuela turning deadly after President Nicolas Maduro declares victory.
The violence on Sunday very real.
Picture this. You're at Angel Falls, the tallest waterfall in the world, surrounded by breathtaking beauty. But while you're soaking it all in, you're also hiding your phone in your shoe, scanning the crowd for threats, clutching the embassy's emergency number. Why? Because in 2026, being an American in Venezuela is a risk, not a privilege. Venezuela has become one of the most dangerous places for Americans. The U.S. State Department has kept its "do not travel" warning for years, and those who ignore it often find themselves in a political nightmare. You're not just a tourist, you're a target. Here, Americans are seen as potential spies or political tools. A simple visit could entangle you in a web of surveillance, scheming, misinformation, or even imprisonment. Once you land, you're in an economic nightmare. Your American credit cards? Useless. The local currency? Worthless. That beautiful beach you dreamed of? It's swallowed by corruption and chaos. If you're an American planning to visit, you're not just booking a vacation. You're gambling with your safety, your freedom, and possibly your life. Dangers lurk everywhere, from the streets of Caracas to the parks. You won't believe the full truth behind these risks. Keep watching.
Welcome to Venezuela in 2026, where being American doesn't just make travel complicated, it makes it potentially deadly. The U.S. State Department has maintained its Level 4 travel advisory, "Do not travel," for years. But the warnings don't capture the full picture. They don't tell you about the political tensions that could land you in a Venezuelan prison on fabricated espionage charges. They don't explain why your dollars, your passport, and your nationality make you a walking target for everyone from petty criminals to government officials. I'm about to reveal why Venezuela has become one of the most hostile destinations on Earth for American travelers. And trust me, the reasons go far deeper than you think. Let's start with the elephant in the room. The United States and Venezuela have one of the most hostile bilateral relationships in the Western Hemisphere. Since 2019, the U.S. hasn't even recognized Venezuela's government as legitimate, backing opposition leaders instead. Venezuela, in turn, has accused the U.S. of everything from coup attempts to economic warfare. This isn't ancient history. This is happening right now, in 2026. What does this mean for you, the average American tourist who just wants to see Angel Falls or explore Los Roques? It means you're not seen as a tourist. You're seen as a potential spy, an agent of American imperialism, or at minimum, a political pawn. The U.S. Embassy in Caracas has been barely operational for years, with minimal staff and extremely limited consular services. If something goes wrong, and in Venezuela, things go wrong constantly, you're essentially on your own. There's no Marine Guard coming to bail you out. There's no consular officer expediting your emergency exit. You're in hostile territory without a safety net. But here's what most Americans don't realize. Venezuela doesn't even issue tourist visas to U.S. citizens through normal channels anymore. You need a special authorization, which requires knowing someone, paying significant fees to questionable intermediaries, or having a compelling reason like family ties or business that can survive scrutiny. And if you somehow manage to get in, you're entering a country where anti-American sentiment isn't just government propaganda. It's been baked into public consciousness for decades. State media regularly broadcast programs blaming the U.S. for Venezuela's economic collapse, food shortages, and infrastructure failures. Never mind the role of corruption and mismanagement. In the official narrative, America is the villain. Walk down the street with your American accent. People notice. Flash your U.S. passport at a checkpoint, you've just complicated your day exponentially. Wear your college sweatshirt with English text? Congratulations, you're now having conversations you never wanted to have about American foreign policy while just trying to order coffee. Now we need to talk about something terrifying: arbitrary detention. As of 2026, Venezuela has a documented history of detaining American citizens on dubious or completely fabricated charges. We're talking about tourists, journalists, business people, and oil workers who entered the country legally and suddenly found themselves in Venezuelan prisons. Let me give you real examples. In 2016, an American oil executive was arrested and held for years on corruption charges that international observers called politically motivated. In 2020, 2 American military veterans were captured after a failed incursion and imprisoned. Even after their eventual releases through prisoner swaps, the message was clear. Americans in Venezuela can be detained and used as bargaining chips. Here's what keeps me up at night. In 2026, Venezuela still holds this playbook. If diplomatic tensions escalate, if the Venezuelan government needs leverage, if you're simply in the wrong place at the wrong time, your American passport stops being a protection and becomes a liability. You could be taking photos of a beautiful colonial building and unknowingly photograph something the government considers sensitive infrastructure. You could be posting on social media about your travels and have those posts interpreted as spreading anti-government propaganda. You could have a conversation with a Venezuelan who happens to be considered a dissident, and suddenly you're accused of conspiring against the state. And Venezuelan prisons? These aren't places where you want to wait for diplomats to negotiate your release. We're talking about facilities where violence is common, where basic necessities are scarce, where medical care is virtually non-existent. Human rights organizations have documented torture, extrajudicial killings, and horrific conditions. Now imagine being in that situation as an American, knowing that your government has limited diplomatic tools to help you because formal relations are fractured. Imagine your family back home trying to navigate a system designed to be opaque and punitive. A former detainee described his experience to journalists. Every day I wondered if I'd just disappear into the system forever. No trial date, no clear charges, no communication with the outside world for weeks. My family didn't even know if I was alive. This is the reality that hangs over every American who enters Venezuela in 2026. You're not just a tourist, you're a potential political prisoner. Let's say you've made it into the country and somehow avoided detention. Congratulations! Now you get to deal with one of the world's most dysfunctional economies. Venezuela in 2026 is an economic nightmare that defies logic. The country with the world's largest proven oil reserves can't keep the lights on. Hyperinflation has destroyed the bolivar so completely that people weigh cash instead of counting it. US dollars are the de facto currency, but using them as an American is complicated. First problem, getting money. Your American credit and debit cards? They mostly don't work because of US sanctions and banking restrictions. Venezuelan ATMs? Even if they worked, they're limited to dispensing bolivars that become worthless by the hour. You need to bring physical cash, lots of it, and that makes you a target. But here's the twist. Because you're American, you're also suspected of violating US sanctions just by spending money in Venezuela. Technically, most commercial transactions in Venezuela by US citizens are restricted under Treasury Department rules. Getting permission requires licenses that ordinary tourists don't have and probably don't even know they need. So you're in this absurd situation where you need dollars to survive, but using those dollars could technically violate American law. And possessing those dollars makes you a target for Venezuelan criminals and corrupt officials. Second problem, there's nothing to buy. Store shelves are often bare. When goods are available, prices are astronomical and change daily. Medicine is nearly impossible to find. Basic supplies Americans take for granted, from toilet paper to phone chargers, are luxury items. You can't just pop into a convenience store for water. You can't assume your hotel will have running water or electricity. You can't rely on restaurants having ingredients for the menu items they list. Everything requires planning, backup plans, and the constant stress of resource scarcity. And as an American, you're paying the special rate for everything. That bottle of water that costs a local $5? That's $15 for you. That taxi ride? Triple the normal price because they know you can't really negotiate or complain. Who are you going to report price gouging to in a country where official institutions barely function? One American journalist who visited in 2024 described buying a simple meal. I spent an hour walking to 4 different restaurants before finding one that was actually open and had food. The bill came to $45 for rice, beans, and chicken, more than I'd pay in Manhattan, and I could only pay in exact cash because they had no change. Now let's talk about what makes Venezuela genuinely dangerous, regardless of nationality: violent crime. Caracas regularly ranks among the world's most dangerous cities. The murder rate is staggering. Armed robbery isn't a possibility, it's an expectation. Kidnapping is common enough that locals have developed entire protocols for expressing kidnappings versus regular kidnappings. Yes, you read that right. Express kidnappings, where criminals hold you for a few hours and drain your bank accounts, are so routine, they have their own category. Venezuelans have adapted. They know which neighborhoods to avoid, which times of day are most dangerous, which routes are safer. They don't wear jewelry, they carry decoy phones. They keep emergency cash hidden in multiple locations. They've developed a sixth sense for danger that takes years to cultivate. You, as an American tourist, have none of this. You stand out immediately. Your clothes, your gear, your posture, your confusion, everything about you screams target. And criminals in Venezuela know Americans means dollars. But here's what makes it exponentially worse. Police corruption is endemic. The people who are supposed to protect you are often the threat. Police officers supplement their meager salaries by shaking down foreigners. Military checkpoints become opportunities for extortion. You hand over your passport for a routine check, and suddenly there's a problem that requires payment to resolve. And if you're the victim of crime, good luck. Police reports are filed reluctantly, if at all. Investigations are non-existent. Your stolen belongings are gone forever. If you're injured, you're facing a healthcare system in total collapse. Venezuelan hospitals lack basic supplies. We're talking no antibiotics, no surgical equipment, no reliable electricity to keep life support running. Patients are expected to bring their own supplies, and I mean everything from bandages to sutures. Doctors and nurses are incredibly skilled and compassionate, but working with essentially nothing. If you need medical evacuation, and given the crime rates, that's not unlikely, you're looking at tens of thousands of dollars minimum. Your travel insurance? Most policies explicitly exclude Level 4 travel advisory countries. You're financially on your own. A retired American teacher was mugged in Caracas in 2025. He was beaten badly enough to need hospitalization. The hospital couldn't treat him properly. He had to arrange a private medical flight to Colombia. Cost $78,000. His travel insurance denied the claim because Venezuela was under a do not travel warning. Here's something most travel blogs won't tell you. Venezuela operates an extensive surveillance apparatus, and Americans are priority targets. The government monitors social media posts. They track foreigners' movements through a network of checkpoints and informants. They infiltrate opposition groups and watch for any signs of American involvement. This isn't paranoia. This is documented reality backed by human rights organizations and investigative journalists. As an American, you're automatically suspicious. Your phone is likely being monitored if you use local SIM cards. Your hotel might be required to report your presence to authorities. People you meet might be hesitant to talk openly with you because association with Americans can bring unwanted attention. You can't post freely on social media. A critical comment about conditions, a joke about politics, even a sympathetic post about Venezuelan suffering, any of these could be interpreted as propaganda and used against you. Multiple Americans have been detained partly based on their social media activity. You're also being watched by criminals who target foreigners. Networks of spotters at airports, hotels, and tourist sites identify high-value targets and pass information to robbery crews. That friendly person who struck up a conversation at your hotel might be casing you. This constant surveillance, this sense of being watched by both government and criminals, creates a paranoia that's exhausting. You can't relax. You can't be spontaneous. Every interaction is calculated. Every photo is carefully considered. Every conversation happens with the awareness that someone might be listening. So here's the bottom line. Should you visit Venezuela as an American in 2026? Unless you have absolutely essential reasons, family emergency, critical business that cannot be conducted remotely, humanitarian work with established organizations, the answer is a resounding no. This isn't about being afraid of adventure or avoiding challenging destinations. This is about recognizing when a risk-reward calculation is simply irrational. Venezuela's beauty is undeniable. Its people have suffered under circumstances largely beyond their control, and many retain incredible warmth despite everything. This video isn't an attack on Venezuelans. It's an honest assessment of an untenable situation. The combination of diplomatic hostility, detention risks, economic chaos, violent crime, and constant surveillance creates a perfect storm of danger that no waterfall or beach is worth risking. The U.S. State Department doesn't issue Level 4 advisories lightly. They mean do not go, listen to them. Venezuela's problems are complex and rooted in decades of mismanagement, corruption, international pressure, and political conflict. Solving them will take time, leadership, and significant changes. But that's not your responsibility as a tourist. Your responsibility is making smart decisions about your safety. Perhaps someday Venezuela will stabilize. Perhaps diplomatic relations will normalize. Perhaps the country will reclaim its place as an accessible, safe destination for travelers from all nations. I genuinely hope so, because the world is poorer when we can't safely experience its wonders. But in 2026, that day hasn't arrived. Venezuela remains off-limits for Americans who value their freedom, their safety, and their lives. This is why it sucks to visit Venezuela as an American in 2026. More accurately, this is why you simply shouldn't try. Stay safe, be smart, and choose destinations where your passport is a benefit, not a liability.
Give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. It really helps our channel grow. And hey, we've got plenty more videos waiting for you. Check them out right here so you can stay updated with all our latest content. See you in the next one.